trying to think of a funny FBI acronym, but I
Female
can't.
body inspector.
Well, that's
Back to the butts.
yeah. Hey, we didn't say it had to be a female butt. Okay, we started.
But I'm the butt, and
But
I'm
it is
the
now.
one female.
You know what?
Whatever.
Maybe we just like a SpongeBob ass, like squares.
Square.
Just square.
Maybe we just get
Too
square
square.
ass. We didn't discuss that. I feel like we're leaving a whole demographic out.
I recently started watching SpongeBob again.
Why?
I don't know. I just like threw it on to like fill the space in the background. And there's so many episodes I've never seen before, past like the first couple like 5 or 6 seasons, that I was just like, whoa, this is weird.
They're still making it, aren't they?
Yes. They were supposed to stop, and I think they changed their mind. They're on like 23 seasons.
It's crazy,
But
dude.
they've got some, I think it's, I don't know. A lot of people say it's not funny anymore, but I think it's still good.
I like the movie. I watched that
Which
when I
one?
was 12 years old.
There's like 5 now.
The Goofy Goober Rock movie.
that is
I don't
the
know
best.
which
It's a
movie
good
it is. I
one.
think it's the movie.
It is the SpongeBob the movie. Yeah.
That is.
With what's his face?
David Hasselhoff.
David Hasselhoff. Yeah.
The Hoff.
With his hairiness rolling out onto the beach.
He's ready, man. Right on his gigantic pectorals.
Hi, Night Owls. Welcome to our episode 0, where we talk about SpongeBob, butts, and all the other things. I am your DM, your dungeon master, for all those that need me to elaborate on acronyms like FBI, standing for Female Body Inspector. I will be the one running the game of the World of Humblewood with these beautiful players. This world is a animal-based anthropomorphic world where there's no races of men, elves, any of the humanoid typical races of D&D. It is all entirely animals. So like foxes, rabbits, gerbils, all the different kinds like that. And the book says that it's called a different name for the world, but we're going to be referring to it as Humblewood to make it easier, because I can't ever remember the name of the actual world, and it's more iconic, so we're going to stick with that. But today we're going to talk about our characters, kind of what they're all about, and let the players introduce themselves. So go on ahead.
Hey, Night Owls. I'm Darwin, and I'll be telling the story of Quilliam, or Q, shortened down in this campaign. Q is a hedge, which is a hedgehog-like race in the world of Humblewood. At 5 foot tall, he's abnormally large compared to his hedgekin, and actually most of the humble folk in this story. His tunic is a light shade of green and floats on his frame. It's specially tailored to accommodate his quills. They lay flat generally, but when things get shifty, he gets a little spiky. Perhaps the most important item that he's always got on him is his gardener's apron, which is full of all sorts of tools and seeds used for his trade. The broken tip of an abnormally large talon hangs loose around his neck, tied with rope, kind of like a necklace. And those attuned to the divine can sense an intense aura of magic humming from the seemingly harmless piece of jewelry. Although Q generally carries a smile on his face and holds a positive attitude, you don't want to underestimate him in combat. He's a cleric of Titan, and he prefers to mend over causing harm, but the divine Twilight of the Father Owl holds strong and brings powerful divine magic into Q's repertoire. Not out of the ordinary for Q, we find him in Marshview searching for new seeds and techniques to further expand his garden.
Well, hello there. My name's Matt, and I will be playing the character Thistlefoot, who is a mouse folk. Thistlefoot is 20 years old and stands at a very impressive 2 feet tall. Thistlefoot is petite but well-bit, with a lethal and muscular frame honed through years of rigorous training. His ears are large and slightly tufted, always perked up and attentive, with one of them having a slight singe on the tip of it. He has a long, slender tail covered with short fur, with a little puff of brown fur at the end of it, kind of like a little pom-pom fur on it. He has very soft fur with a earthy brown color, with hints of a little bit of a gray on it, giving it kind of a rustic appearance. He wears simple monastic robes made from sturdy, but yet natural fabrics with a little bit of a shade of green and brown, designed to blend in with the forest environment around. The fabric is light yet durable, providing the freedom of movement much needed for punching things and maneuvering around and just being a speedy, fast little boy. I wear a outer robe that is a deep forest green, symbolizing the connection that Thistlefoot has with nature and the balance that he is striving to maintain with it. He also has a inner tunic that is a little bit of a brownish color to throw off a nice, good, little natural blend in with the environment around him, with a very simple sash that he wears around his belly that provides to carry around the pouches and medicines and other materials needed for long journeys. Also, on his hands and feet wears very simple bandage wraps to keep warm, but provide the flexibility and maneuverability needed to punch things. One of the designing characteristics hangs around Thistlefoot's neck. Hanging around his neck is a cord with a wooden symbol that looks like a pine tree. And now that's going to provide a special connection with Thistlefoot's character. And we'll explain that here in a moment. Now, Thistlefoot hails from, unfortunately, a time of ash and embers. You see, his village was burnt down. His family, his friends, his home, all lost to the great fires that are spreading. And though he was lost and not knowing what to do, a kind elderly monk found him, took him into the Order of the Whispering Pines monastic, and trained Thistlefoot to be a monk. So Thistlefoot, oh my goodness, Thistlefoot. Thistlefoot. Oh my goodness. Thistlefoot.
Gosh, dang it! No, you're good, dude.
So Thistlefoot was trained by the monks of the Whispering Pines Monastery to hone in his natural flexibility, but also more importantly, to center his mind from his traumatic past and the loss that he suffered. Now Thistlefoot has dedicated his life to healing others, being a light in darkness for those who've lost their way, just as the monks were for him. Thistlefoot follows the way of mercy as a path to teach how to heal with one hand, but fight and defend with the other. The style that he was trained in and uses is referred to as the Dance of 8 Leaves. It's about swift strikes, powerful knees, and flowing movements. You can say that he has a certain knack for turning even the fiercest fight into an elegant performance with his hands, elbows, knees, and even sometimes his tail. But don't be fooled by his cheerful tone, those big floppy ears, and hazelnutty eyes. He unfortunately has scars that are not seen. Now he travels around the woods with his newfound friends, trying to help others and to be a warm fire, nice hot cup to provide for others in times of need. Because when life burns you down, you have to be able to grow back stronger.
That was beautiful.
Lovely.
Well, hello. My name is Becca. I will be playing as Penny. Penny is a pangolin, and if you don't know what a pangolin is, it's not a penguin, okay? It's a pangolin.
What?
Pangolin, think of like an armadillo type aardvark with scales, like Sandshrew the Pokemon, okay?
Stand true.
Penny's only about 3 feet tall, so she's on the shorter side. But she has these dark scales all over her body, has a golden sheen to them. She has a really long tail. It's about the same length as the other half of her body. She wears these robes that are dark gray, got some pink in there on her dress / tunic, I guess you could say. She has some sashes and pouches along her front. Think of like a fanny pack, but there's like a whole bunch of little ones, you know? So like a whole bunch of little fanny packs. And in each of these pouches, she has like snacks or trinkets. She is really into jewelry and trinkets, so she likes to find those everywhere she goes. She has some foot wraps around her feet because she has really long claws on her feet, so shoes are kind of hard to come by. Along her, kind of near where her eyebrow would be, she has a little dainty ring piercing, and dangling down from it is a symbol of a compass. And this is like the symbol of her deity and has some importance in her background and her story. And you'll also see on her wrist, she has a charm bracelet. This charm bracelet is has a lot of different charms that are made from amber. And in each of the amber stones, there is a insect. And they're all different ones. So Penny, she grew away in a faraway place, and she has come into this town, into Humblewood. She is looking for someone very special to her, and she is pretty young. She's in her 20s, but she loves adventure. She loves to learn new things, and so she is just ready to go on this adventure and find her person that she is looking for.
Nice.
Awesome.
So you may have heard some of the players mention terms like humble folk and some of the deities like Titan. We're going to try and make this game pretty newer player friendly and try and if we don't forget, like describing different mechanics and things like that as far as like how the game is played, and to give a little bit more information. So humble folk are the creatures in the world that are non-winged. There's a history to that, and I don't think we'll really touch on it too much, but there was a divide between the bird folk and the humble folk. There was a treaty not too long ago that kind of brought them together. We're not really going to be hitting that probably too hard in the game, but we'll start to learn a lot of the different terms of the world. I will be using not the book terms for the races, just to make it a little bit easier to remember, because some of them aren't really straightforward, at least in my mind. Like Vulpin and stuff kind of like makes sense on what that is, Vulpine creature being like fox, but there's some that I don't immediately go, oh, that's you know, this race or another. So we'll be calling them by rabbit folk or bird folk or fox or rabbit, that kind of thing, just to make it a little bit easier to understand. We're going to be starting out in Marshview, which is a pretty podunk country village, mostly encompassed by the humble folk, so that it's going to be non-winged creatures. And conveniently, all of the players have chosen to go with the humble folk, so none of them have any wings. And
Imagine flying.
yeah. I mean, at some point,
Birds are a myth.
Birds. So there are, just so that it's a little bit more straightforward too, there are animals in the world like we would have here, like birds and things like that. Consider the races that are more intelligent to be evolved forms of that, and that's probably another topic we're not really going to hit super hard, but it's just an accepted thing of there's intelligent races and then natural creatures. So you'll see your things like lions and tigers and bears. Oh
my.
Yeah. and different like bugs and things like that, and I'll probably use some creatures as monsters at some point that are maybe aligned with what you are, but not at, you know, maybe not a mouse, but, you know, like an owl. Like, oh my goodness, your god is something, or you're fighting a giant owl, but we're gonna try and make it as straightforward as possible because some of the deity races are also kind of weird. And we'll get into the pantheon as much as we need to going through, but it is just as confusing as D&D, regular D&D with Forgotten Realms. So, but with all that out of the way, episode 1 is already out. So if you listen to this, thank you for listening along with us, and go check out episode 1. Until the next
Bye-bye.
Twilight. Bye-bye.